Every new first-person shooter has a ton of assault rifles for you to play around with, but with the literal thousands of ARs in gaming history, what's the best of the best? Welcome to the channel, my friends. Jimmy or Chaos here. We're going to try to do the impossible. You guys killed it with the last FPS history video, so here's another one. Today, we're going to check out my picks for the 20 best assault rifles in FPS gaming history, both single player and multiplayer. So you let me know in the comments what your favorite FPS assault rifle was. Let me know if there's any other FPS related lists you guys would like to see us do in the future. Drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and let's kick things off at number 20 with the M16A3 in Battlefield 3. Now, the M16 was a standard issue rifle for the American forces in BF3, and it had a relatively unimpressive damage on paper. But what made it so popular and so nuts was a relatively high fire rate and low recoil, as well as the abundance of good attachments that were available. Yes, it was dealing basically the same damage as other rifles in Battlefield 3, but it was also a laser beam, so it was way easier to use, and it killed noticeably quicker. I think this was Battlefield 3 time was a great time to be a Battlefield player. Unfortunately, we're not there right now, but hopefully we get back to glory. At number 19, the G36C in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, the Siege community is always arguing over what rifles are actually the best, but the G36C is commonly near the top of the pack, and I admit I've always been a bit biased towards it because I like the way it looks. Looks aside, the Siege G36C had a fantastic time to kill. It had good attachments, keeps you at the top of your game, close, distance, didn't matter. If you play a character who you can use it, definitely play around with it. You'll see what people are always talking about. At number 18, we're going across all kinds of different games. This is this is fun to me. The Phantom in Valorant. Now, the Phantom is kind of a love it or hate it weapon in Valorant because it doesn't have amazing insta-kill potential like some other weapons in the game, but it does have a pretty quick fire rate and a really big magazine, and it has that built-in suppressor to make you harder to detect while you're in combat. Most die-hard Valorant players would argue that there's a better rifle. We'll talk about that one later. But ultimately, the Phantom is a fantastic gun, and if you play to its strengths, I know a decent chunk of the community actually prefers it. At number 17, and understand, guys, there are thousands of ARs in gaming FPS history, so we're definitely not going to have the same list as everybody else, so keep that in mind. We could do another one later. At number 17, the AK-47 in X-Defiant. Now, when Ubisoft's Call of Duty competitor first launched, the AK-47 was so busted that it started getting banned from competitive events via gentlemen's agreements. The team patched it a couple times, but it's still a top-tier weapon because of the damage per shot and the pretty manageable recoil. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but with a time to kill that good, it's worth putting in the hours to get good. It is, because you're going to get the absolute most out of the AK. At number 16, the Heavy Assault Rifle in Doom. To me, the Heavy AR in the rebooted Doom is a freak of nature. Not only is it extremely accurate, which makes it great for mid-range fights, but there was some insane mods that you could add to it. You could add a scope that lets you pop demons in the head from a safe distance, and micro missiles that could be rapid fired at groups of enemies to blow them all up one after another. I don't have a lot to say about it other than the fact that the Heavy AR in Doom is just plain awesome. At number 15, the Pulse Rifle in Overwatch. Now, there's a couple different assault rifles in Overwatch, but I have always thought that the Pulse Rifle that Soldier 76 uses is one of the best ARs in gaming history. Super accurate, fantastic time to kill, has the built-in rocket launcher, and the reload animation is quick enough that you don't really ever get caught in the middle of it. If this rifle wasn't so good, I don't think Soldier 76 would have been nearly as popular of a character as he was. At number 14, the STG-90 in Far Cry 3. Now, it didn't hit as hard as some other rifles in Far Cry 3, but it had accuracy. Fantastic accuracy, and since this was a single-player game with a ton of different options for playstyles, you could really play to its strengths and have it work alongside you in the best way possible. You could beam enemies from insane distances, and if you were one of the absolute, chads who played the Far Cry 3 multiplayer, you probably remember it had some sauce there as well. I bet some of you forgot all about the gun. Raise your hand, circle of trust, be honest, let me know. At number 13, the Assault Rifle in Halo. It's so good it doesn't even need a name. It's just the assault rifle, one of the most iconic assault rifles in gaming history. The Halo AR has seen a handful of changes over the years. Some versions fire faster, some fire slower, other versions even feature bigger default magazines, but the assault rifle is a staple of the Halo franchise. It's not always a top tier weapon, but it's a great all-around choice for fending off enemies in the campaign and dealing solid, consistent damage in multiplayer. So you let me know in the comments, which version of the assault rifle is your favorite? I'm kind of giving you guys some homework to do here. Personally, I've always loved the Halo Reach version, but I also have a soft spot for the original Combat Evolved version that was a total bullet hose for some reason. You let me know. At number 12, the Ace 23 in Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 may have been completely busted when it launched, but it would eventually become what many consider to be the best game in the entire franchise. That's wild. The Ace 23 assault rifle is widely seen as the best gun in its class, and it's for good reason. It fires quickly, had solid damage per shot, so it can not only kill quickly at longer ranges, but it would also remain very competitive and viable up close. You didn't have to worry about somebody rushing your position and having a leg up over you. This thing was honestly kind of nuts for an AR. At number 11, the Vandal in Valorant. Now, it's pretty clear that Riot Games meant for this rifle to be their equivalent of the CounterStrike AK-47, and that means that it has insane damage to go with some hefty recoil. Single shot to the head from across the map, instantly kill any player regardless of how much armor they have, and while the recoil takes some getting used to, it's a must-use for anybody who's trying to get good at the game. If you're not good with the Vandal, you simply probably won't be good at Valorant. Maybe that's a hot take, I don't know, but yeah. Now we get into the top 10. The M4A1 in Counter-Strike. Now, this version is a fantastic all-around rifle. It's not as deadly as some of the other weapons in the game, but still, I mean, the killing potential is good. Relatively quick fire rate gives you a bit of leeway with your accuracy, which is good. The M4 can be deadly with a single shot to the head up to a certain distance. It's also one of the few guns in Counter-Strike you can actually attach a suppressor to, which is kind of a handy feature if you're someone who likes to play stealthy, I guess. I mean, who doesn't love the reload animation, right? Big hearty slap your soldier gives it every time they load in the new magazine. Super, super satisfying. At number 9, the Graza in PUBG. Now, the power rankings in PUBG tend to change with every new season, but the Graza has been a great weapon for the longest time. It's hard to get your hands on since it's typically only found in airdrops or in the hands of a dead player, but it fires some extremely powerful 7.62 rounds with some pretty intimidating fire rates to go with it. The recoil is not bad at all. It makes it easy to stay on target. Insanely strong rifle, definitely one of the best in FPS history. Even if you don't technically consider PUBG to be an FPS, we're going to go with it. At number 8, the M16 in COD 4. One of the most broken assault rifles in any multiplayer first-person shooter, the 3-round burst machine that fired over 900 rounds per minute, and yet it killed with 2 bullets if you were using stopping power as your perk. The time to kill, it was game-breaking. It was hands down the best gun in the game. It broke the game. Arguably even the best gun in the franchise if you ask the right person. Even if you put Call of Duty, or if you put them down years ago, you probably remember how busted this thing was. That's how good it was. At number 7, back to PUBG. The M416. Now, this rifle is known for its versatility and the abundance of attachments that make it great for basically any type of playstyle. Damage, good. Fire rate, good. Handling and recoil, strong. Overall time to kill, very competitive in basically every situation, which that makes it desirable. Again, you may not consider PUBG to be technically a first-person shooter since there's a button to swap between first and third-person perspectives, but I think it should count for this list, and if it counts, then I think both the Graza and the M416 deserve to be on the list. At number 6, the AK-12 in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, the AK-12 is becoming more popular in gaming thanks to some very strong iterations that have shown up in popular games, but I've always gravitated towards and loved the Rainbow Six version. That's coming from someone who really doesn't play a lot of Siege, but I know enough to know that this is nuts. Recoil was manageable, sights were good, time to kill very competitive up close and at longer ranges. It was a fantastic all-around weapon that many Siege players will tell you is the best gun in the game despite the meta changing many times around it. Now we arrive at the top 5. These are the best of the best in my opinion. At number 5, the battle rifle in Halo 2. I mean, I guess this might not technically be an assault rifle depending on how you define an assault rifle, but I think it deserved a spot because it was a rifle. It has rifle in the name. It was a 3-round burst and totally dominated the Halo 2 multiplayer scene. Unlike later versions of the BR, the Halo 2 BR was a hit scan weapon, which made it much easier to use at long ranges, and if you got good with your aim, you were the king of the lobby. You were. I mean, definitely a top-tier rifle and a top 5 if you ask me. At number 4, the pulse rifle in Half-Life 2. You thought I'd forget about Half-Life, but I didn't. The pulse rifle is a dark energy weapon used by the Combine, and you'll see tons of times throughout the story campaign, and it's almost always worth grabbing and playing around with, because not only is it super powerful, it's really, really satisfying. I mean, it's a fully automatic energy rifle mixed with insane physics of Half-Life 2. What could go wrong? Absolutely nothing. At number 3, the Famas in Black Ops. Black Ops is my favorite Call of Duty game of all time. I have many, many hours logged in with the Famas. This monster completely dominated the multiplayer because of the simple fact that it was a better close-range option than anything else in the game. It was also one of the fastest killing guns at long range, so there was no reason to not use it. Broken, the word broken, the definition of broken doesn't even start to cover this gun, and I'm pretty sure they never nerfed it. It was plain dumb, and if you could control the recoil, you were ahead of the ahead of the lobby. You were. At number 2, the DC-17 in Star Wars Republic Commando. Might be cheating. It's my list, so I'm going to cheat. The DC-17 is your starting rifle in the incredibly underrated Star Wars Republic Commando game, and not only is it insanely strong, it also had a ton of conversions that you could use, like you could make a sniper attachment on it, you could put an anti-armor attachment on it. You use the DC-17 throughout the entire experience, and it's really, really satisfying to swap over to the correct attachment for the correct situation. You just keep fighting for the Republic. It was great. If you've never played Republic Commando, you definitely need to give it a try if you can. And at number 1 today, in my opinion, the best FPS assault rifle, and I know there are so many options, I really feel like we may have to do another version of this. But today, the number 1 pick goes to the AK-47 in CounterStrike. Out of all the assault rifles in FPS history, the AK-47 is probably the most intimidating, and since it's gone almost completely unchanged for 20 plus years, that's 2+ decades, I think it's worthy. Expensive rifle, takes a lot of time in the lab to master the recoil, but once you start landing your shots, you know exactly how strong this thing is. The Counter-Strike AK can instantly kill anybody from any distance with a single headshot, and if you're hitting someone in the chest, it's only going to take a handful of bullets for them to be dropped. It's the quintessential FPS assault rifle, if you ask me. Hard to master, but extremely deadly and super versatile. I think it deserves the number 1 spot today. Let me know a couple assault rifles that definitely didn't get the love that they deserved in the comment section. If you guys are enjoying the FPS history series, give me some ideas of future videos you would like. I'm enjoying them. I love visiting other FPS games other than just Call of Duty, so it's kind of a really nice change of pace for me. I'll see you soon.